Hello and welcome to AFcast. I'm your host Malcolm, and today I am going to be talking about Operation Shifting Tides. So this is the new update for Rainbow Six Siege. Just like usual, we get a new map, well, sort of a new map, a new attack operator and a new defense operator along with some bug fixes. Let's get into the operators first. So for attack, we have Kali. For her primary, we have the CSRX 300, which is the very first actual sniper rifle that we've had in the game. A lot of people consider Glaz's rifle to be a sniper rifle, but that's more of a DMR or marksman rifle, not really a sniper rifle. But that's just because of the just not doing an insane amount of damage. Also, the fact that it has a really high fire rate and everything like that. And we'll also talk about Glaz later on as well, because he did get a massive improvement, at least in pretty much everyone's opinion. So yeah. And for Kali's secondaries, and by the way, the CSRX 300, the sniper rifle, is not customizable at all except for adding a charm and skins. So you cannot add any attachments whatsoever, because this is based off of her gadget as well, which I'll talk about in a second. But her secondaries are the P226 and Mark 25, if I want to say the full name. And then you also have the C75 Auto. The C75 Auto is what's used by the White Noise crew, which is Dokkaebi and Vigil. And then the P226, I don't remember who that's used by, but it is used across other people as well. I'm pretty sure that's the GSG-9 pistol, but I could be wrong about that. And then her gadgets are either a breaching charge or a claymore. I definitely recommend, as a sniper who cannot really flick onto people easily, to definitely try and use the claymore. So that way, if you were holding an angle and someone runs out on you, you have more of a chance of surviving if there's a claymore watching your back, rather than you trying to hit the person as they're moving and running out on you in a quick time span, because that would be pretty hard to do. I've done it, but most of the time I have not succeeded. So, because a lot of people have run out on me, especially with a sniper, and I've even run out on other collies as well, because I know that they won't be prepared as much. So it's very easy to run out on collies, especially if they don't have a claymore set up. So definitely make sure you set up that claymore. She is a 2-speed, 2-armor operator, and then her gadget is the LV Explosive Lance. And essentially what this is, you get 3 of them. And essentially the Lance it's an underbarrel attachment for the sniper. You put it inside of the underbarrel attachment. It kind of looks like a grenade launcher. And then when you fire it, you try firing it towards, it's kind of like an ash charge, except for it's for reinforcements. It doesn't create a hole, but it shoots the same. So essentially, if you were to shoot it at a maestro, it would destroy the maestro. If you shoot it at a reinforced wall, it will actually drill into the reinforced wall and explode on both sides of the wall. So it will destroy anything that is on either side of that reinforced wall. So be careful when your thermite is putting a charge on there, because if he puts it on too quickly as the lance is going off, it will destroy the thermite charge as well. But it also will destroy any mute charges or bandit batteries as well that is trying to protect the wall. So it is useful, but it is really hard because it doesn't do much damage. It does 3 damage if it actually does hit someone. So if someone's bandit tricking, it is really easy to bandit trick still with the lance instead of an EMP from Thatcher or something like that. Unless you time it perfectly and you have really good coordination, which, trust me, even with that, it's hard to do. Our defense operator is Wamai. Oh wait, actually one more thing about Kali is that her scope for her sniper rifle can actually change between I can't remember I think it's a 6 times and a 12 times. I could be wrong on that. It might be an 8 times and a 12 times. I'm pretty sure just the second one is a 12 times, but you can switch between scopes for longer ranges or shorter ranges. But either way, the scope is very zoomed in, so I would be careful about that. But our defense operator is named Wamai, and he has the AUG A2, which is owned by IQ. Or you can use the MP5K, which is used by Doc and Rook, or maybe just one or the other. I don't know, but but both of these guns are very viable in my opinion to be used as like his primary weapon. I personally like the AUG more, but I have seen a lot of people like the MP5K more. I just like the AUG more because of the like high DPS that it has, even though it's more of a slow fire rate type weapon. And then his like side gadgets that he has are either a deployable shield, or he can have barbed wire. I'd recommend running the deployable shield because of his gadget, and you'll find out what his gadget is here in a second as well. But his secondaries are either the D40, which is the Rhino that both Alibi and Maestro own, so not the shotgun pistol, but the other one, the revolver. And then he also owns the P12. Once again, I don't know who the P12 belongs to, but it's pretty quick look up. And he is also a 2-speed, 2-armor operator. And his unique ability is the magnet system, or magnet system. It's hyphened, so I have to pronunciate it like that. But that's why I want the deployable shield, is because these things are basically like little frisbees. And you throw them onto objects, and essentially what happens is people will throw nades into a room, and the magnet system will catch the nade. It'll restart the timer on well first it would defuse it, then it'll like magnetize it to the actual magnet that you threw down, then it'll restart the timer of whatever you captured. So like if it was a frag grenade, it would restart the timer for how long until it goes off, and then it would go off. What's nice about this is that for stuff like Ying, if she throws in her Candela, only one Candela will actually go off. At least from my experience. I could be wrong about that, but that seems to be the trend of it. And this thing can do one thing that Jaeger cannot, which is catching certain things like ash charges, or like even lances. And this thing can catch more than the Jaeger can. Like it can also catch the tracks from Gridlock as well. So originally Warden was supposed to be a not a replacement, but an alternative to Jaeger. Because their idea was if you can't destroy the nades, might as well deal with them, which is Warden's idea for being able to see through smoke or see through flash grenades. So it was kind of like supposed to be an alternative for Jaeger. Obviously did not work out for them very well. So they came up with Wamai instead, who's supposed to be an alternative for Jaeger, and he is a much better alternative than Warden ever was. And he is... I feel like he's better as a roamer, because he gets 5 of these discs total, but they come over time like Legion mines do. So you can't necessarily throw them all around an objective and try to protect like the objective. And by the way, like you can get kills and stuff with this as well. Like if it were to reset a nade and kill someone with a nade. Only problem with that is that it counts as a team kill. It doesn't count as, or a suicide if the guy who threw it dies. It doesn't count as you getting the kill, which I feel like they should fix. That way people who get killed by Wamai using his gadget don't get that thing that if you were to try to TK again, they would take the damage instead. I can't remember what it's called. Sorry. But yeah, so the reason why I think he'd be better as a roamer, I kind of play him as a roamer. I play him as a tight roamer, and sometimes I play him as a objective hold. But as you're going through and you know danger is coming from somewhere, you're able to throw one of his gadgets towards where the enemy might be coming from. So like if it was a Zofia that's coming after you, then if she tries shooting her concussions at you, then maybe they go right back to her and hit her instead, which has actually happened to me once. Not as Sophia, but as Wamai, I've hit the Sophia. And I've done that a few times now. I killed an Ashe with her own breaching charge, I'm pretty sure. And then I also, I don't know, I've done a few things now. But it is pretty useful, especially against Capitao, because it can capture his bolts. And so if your friend is sitting behind a cover or something like that, or maybe you're sitting behind a cover and the Capitao is hunting you down, you can throw down one of your gadgets, and if he tries shooting one of those fire bolts at you, then the magnet will catch it and then redeploy it maybe right on top of where the Capitao is, or at least not near you, which is very, very helpful. And then you're able to pop up and kill him if his own fire does not. So I do find this system to be really useful, but at the same time, I still find Jaeger, for the most part, to be better, at least for having a low skill floor. But I feel like overall, Wamai could be better than Jaeger at a higher skill ceiling type situation. But that's only because if people know how to play Wamai really well and know how to use his gadget really well and when to use it even. Because I have done a few smart plays, and I even pulled off like a 1v4, and honestly, if I was not playing Wamai and was able to throw my discs, I would not have survived that, because they were using a bunch of utility to try and kill me. And if I didn't have my Wamais, then honestly, I probably would not have been able to pull that off. So the new map, well, sort of new map, it's a map rework, is Theme Park. And I will say that Theme Park is much better. It still kind of feels like Theme Park, but at the same time, it's like everything that was wrong with it has kind of been like swept away and replaced by all the things that were good about Theme Park, if that makes sense. It's not all that great, but it is still much better than the old Theme Park was. They completely got rid of the entire train section that was in the middle, so the map feels much smaller now. And then they've also kind of added more tight corridors, that way it's not as open, especially like around Dragon's Staircase and stuff like that. And they've also just added a few other improvements to the map. They completely got rid of the main doorway that most people entered through. And overall, just the map is much better. I feel like it goes a lot smoother, and I feel like it's actually ranked worthy now, whereas Theme Park before was not ranked worthy, in my opinion. I always hated getting it during ranked. So I feel like it's much better now. They also added a new limb penetration system, because a lot of people were complaining about, especially Yings, because Yings will throw a candela into a room, and then they'll go to shoot someone who's blinded, but their hand will block all of the shots because their hand is in front of their eyes, like covering their eyes. And so the hand will actually block all the shots. But now, most weapons at least can shoot through the hands and actually still get that headshot that you need. So essentially what they've done is, like, weapons like shotguns, or at least most shotguns, and secondary SMGs will not really have any penetration. And that's only secondary SMGs, keep that in mind. And then you also have, that will do barely any penetration, if at all. And if you were to use, like, the main SMGs, assault rifles, pistols, and LMGs, you will be able to get penetration for the most part. It is easier to shoot through the hand, and then it goes, I think it's like hand and feet, and then the next hardest thing to shoot through is like legs and arms, and then after that it's like your chest, and then I think the head is instantly stop the bullet. I think so might the chest, but Kali's sniper rifle, no matter what, will go through anything until it hits a hard object like a reinforced wall or an unbreakable wall. So do not expect that to stop if it were to hit someone. And actually, one thing I didn't mention about Kali's sniper rifle is that it's an instant injure. So if you shoot someone with Kali's sniper rifle, they'll instantly get injured, and they'll actually be turned around to look towards you directly. So if you were looking away from the Kali, then you would completely flip around and look towards the Kali, which is kind of interesting. I don't really know why that happens, but it does. And then you also have full penetration, which is like stuff like the Boss G or the TCS G12, which is like Goyo and Cade's shotgun, and also the sniper, like the sniper rifle that Kali owns, and then also the DMR that Glaz owns. They will essentially now be able to go completely through people pretty much at all times, and it can possibly take down more than one opponent at once. So you might even be able to get a collateral in the game, which would be pretty cool, especially since you've never really been able to do that before. Actually, you just haven't been able to do that ever. But it does do reduced damage now every time that you penetrate through something. So if you were to penetrate through someone's body, it's like, I believe it's like 30% reduced damage for each additional penetration. So if you were to go through 2 objects, it would only do about 40% of the damage, which is pretty interesting. But they've also reduced how much damage you take to your limbs, so like your arms and your legs. It's reduced to 75% for everyone except for 3 armors, and for 3 armors it's reduced to 65%. So people actually take much less damage, if I can speak, to their arms and legs and hands as well, and feet, than they were to their chest and their head, which is interesting. So if you ever complain about getting a bunch of shots off on somebody, then that might be why they didn't die. So, especially if you're going someone against like Doc or Rook, who is, 3 armor, they'll get even less damage, which kind of sucks. But they've also added a new thing called Repel Exit. And essentially what this is once you reach the top of something and you want to go over the ledge to like get on the roof or balcony or wherever you're going to, you have to press A to actually exit the rappel. This is that way because people have complained about getting certain angles and stuff like that, but it keeps forcing them over the ledge. So they've added this new system. I'm pretty sure you can turn it off. I'm not entirely sure. They also set everything to automatically be advanced as well. So like deployment things will be advanced, drone deployment will be advanced, everything like that. But yeah. They've also added a new elite set, which is Capitao. I don't really like his skin that much, like his character skin. I kind of like it. I think it kind of looks cool. And I see the appeal to it. But I mostly like his weapons and his crossbow, because it has like an etching and it's also gold. So it's like, I don't know. I've always liked the etching style skins for weapons. And then just the gold adds a whole new element to it. I think it looks really cool. But I'm not going to buy the Capitao Elite set just to, see, just to have the weapons, if you know what I mean. Especially since I don't play Capitao often. But I do like his elite set animation as well. He's kind of just like kicking around a soccer ball and stuff like that, which, matches with Favela and all the soccer and stuff that's there. Not to mention that the country that he's from is pretty well known for soccer as well. But I do like his animation a lot for that as well. It's just nice and simple and it works. So yeah. And then once again, just with every season, operator prices have decreased. So if there's an operator you've been wanting for a while, then their price might have decreased. Some I'm pretty sure haven't, at least not yet. But they will next season, obviously. And then once again, they have the seasonal weapon skins. Once again, they only have 2. I think they're only going to do 2 at a time instead of 4, which kind of sucks because I like the option of 4 instead of just 2 seasonal skins. And then for operation or operator balancing, for Glaz, they essentially made it so that way his highlight on people is better than what it used to be. So now if you were to completely lose sight of your your scope, like if you were to completely lose all levels of the scope, you can still see, just barely, but you can still see a little yellow highlight. You just won't be able to see through smoke at all. And also they did fix a bunch of smoke glitches as well, because before as Glaz, sometimes you couldn't see through smokes that you threw down, which was pretty annoying, even though people are mostly using frag grenades now for Glaz. But they also made it so that way his fire rate for his DMR is way higher than it used to be. Like, it is extremely fast. Like, it feels like it was increased by 1.5%, probably, or 150%, not 1.5%, but 150%, like, because it feels like twice as fast than it used to be. So I guess 200% then. But it's extremely fast, and it's a little OP, to be honest with you. Everything that they did to deny people rushing with Glaz, they kind of backfired when they buffed him again, at least in my opinion. But they also heavily nerfed Jackal, which I really like how he works now, because it actually feels pretty balanced now. So essentially, the age of the footprint, so like eventually footprints will fade away, and depending on how old the footprint is that Jackal scans, it will actually only ping for a certain amount of time depending on the age. So like if it was just about to run out, you might only get 2 pings off, maybe even 1. I don't really know what the ratio is to that, but now as well, it essentially highlights the footsteps that you're tracking. Not to mention it has like a scanning progress bar as well. And they also replaced his breaching charges with claymores as well, which kind of sucks, but I guess it's useful. I don't know. It depends on how you play Jackal, I guess. And he also can't see any footprints from below now, so he can't shoot through a ceiling and spot someone who's on the floor above him. He still can see through the floor down a level, but he just can't see up now. And every time when you complete a scan, it'll actually get rid of the footprints. So you can no longer actually scan the same footprints over and over again to try and kill this one person. Once you scan them, they are gone, which I like as well. It doesn't really make much sense, but hey, it works. They also changed the casual playlist to quick match. I don't know why, but they have. And then now for quick match and newcomer, they made it so that way it's every 2 rounds that you switch what side you're on, not just every 1 round. So now you'll play attack twice and then defense twice, or vice versa. Which I like a lot better than the 1-1 way that it was before. And then the 2 operators have changed, like Ubisoft has changed 2 of the operators' voice actors, and this is Habana and Mira. Habana, it's okay. I mean, it's the same. It's pretty much the same as the previous actor, in my opinion, at least. But Mira's sounds way worse. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, it doesn't sound as good as Mira used to sound. But once again, that doesn't really matter as much. But yeah, so to kind of talk about more application of the new, like, what's it called? Operation. That's the word. Callie is much, much better on PC. Like, she is not as good on console, because Siege, like Rainbow Six Siege, plus sniper rifle, plus playing on a controller equals no good. Especially playing on a controller on console. Like, even playing on a controller on a PC would be better than playing on a controller on console, because of latency delay. Because you will miss a lot of shots that you have actually hit, and you will hit a lot of shots that you have actually missed, at least on your side. And that's how it's been with me, and it's been frustrating, and I get confused, and I scream at my TV because it doesn't make any sense to me. But sometimes as well, like, this sniper rifle is actually a really good asset to have. Definitely play it as a support role. Don't play it as a fragging role, at least in like serious situations. Obviously, you can screw around in casual and stuff like that and try to rush with the sniper rifle. I guarantee you that it probably won't work unless the other team is extremely stupid and bad at aiming, or just completely oblivious to your existence. But yeah, it would. It is a good operator idea. I do really like the operator idea, especially since it can one-shot like barricades and hatches and stuff like that. I think that allows for more application for her as well. And then if you were to shoot like a soft wall or something like that, it would actually leave like a tiny breach in the wall, probably about the size. I'm trying to think. It's probably about the size of you to be able to just fit your head in through the wall. So it's a pretty sizable hole, but it's not like enough for you to vault through it unless you were to waste an entire clip on the wall, and then you'd be able to vault through it, which I would not recommend doing because you only have like 2 or 3 clips of her sniper rifle, which you might not think is much, but at the same time, to be able to one-shot people and one-shot hatches and barricades and everything like that, it's pretty good on ammo. At least it's balanced. And I definitely recommend using the sidearm SMG, the C75, because having another single fire weapon at your side probably isn't the best. To have the sidearm SMG plus the 50 cal rifle that you have is probably a good mix to have, so that way you have some kind of automatic weapon and some kind of high powered or high caliber weapon. And then Wamai, like I said before, definitely try to use them as a tight roam, and then anchoring does work as well. You just need to be careful of where you place your Wamais. Sometimes they're good. Like sometimes you can use them for applications. Like if you were to put a Vulcan shield down, you could put a Wamai on the canister on the back. And then if someone were to try and throw a nade in or throw a candela or something like that, the gadget will explode it's not a big explosion, but it will explode no matter what. So it will take out the Vulcan shield. And that'll basically, so if someone's trying to push and they throw in a candela and it breaks the Vulcan shield, then it'll completely deny their rush. And it's a good strategy, especially if you can get people away from wherever they are going to push from by throwing Wamais in hidden spots outside of the objective. So when people try to throw stuff into the objective, it goes right back outside of the objective and possibly hurts them or blinds them or just something that could be used to your advantage instead of theirs. So the applications are endless. But I would be careful because you can also screw over teammates really well. Wamai is much better for having communication with him rather than playing him solo. If you're planning on playing Wamai solo, honestly, I just say play Jaeger. But if you have a full team and you know what you're doing with Wamai, play Wamai instead of Jaeger. I think he is much better in that scenario, especially with the applications that you could use with other gadgets and stuff like that. It'll also just, you're able to protect like miras and stuff like that, and help out overall, especially with how small they are. They are very obvious. They're probably as obvious as the ADSs from Jaeger, because it has like the same blinking light, just blue instead of red. But you can get them in much harder to reach and harder to see spots because you're able to throw these. But once again, make sure that you remember that it takes time for it to recharge. But you do get 5 total, so you will be able to use these pretty much throughout the entire round as long as it doesn't go quickly. But besides that, make sure you check out our Instagram and Twitter for any updates for this podcast or other stuff we host. If you want to see the other stuff we host, we have a website, and you'll be able to find the podcast, YouTube channels, and streams that we do on there. And then also make sure you check out our Discord channel. You can talk to us about this game, like Rainbow Six Siege, this update specifically, other games, even talk to other people about those games, everything like that. We actually set up an entirely new system for the Discord to make it much more user-friendly. So definitely make sure you check that out. Also, make sure you check out DJ Augie because he is the one who made the music for the beginning and end of this podcast, and all of this stuff will be in the description. But besides all of that, game on.